Africa Cup champions. Celtic way, wait for the ball from side to side, and until they try to hide, the wait for the ball from front to back, attack, 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 67, and then he's a buzzman, the buzzing and the bounce.
Yeah.
Yep. Shut your mouth, fat boy, is what today will be remembered as Craig Taylor gave it out to Matt Morales today as he was underscore receiving treatment. Hello and welcome to Celtic Rumours episode 111, the Bawz and Bovril podcast with your host Mark and myself Paul. Joining us tonight we have Terence, Ter6161 from our forum page, the podcast www.celticrumours.co.uk. You can also check all the links to the podcast in the description below. On tonight's show, we will look at today's game against Rangers at Ibrox, which of course we all know at this stage ended at 2-2, which keeps Celtic's 9 points clear at the top of the SPL table. We'll talk about the team's performance, individual performance, and this team selection. I'm going to talk about new signing Tomoki Iwata. Will he fill the position Cal McGregor's in at this current moment? As I feel we kind of lost the midfield section again today. And of course, all your comments on the live chat. If there's anything you guys want to talk about during the match, please let us know. Firstly though, I'll hand off to Mark for a few shout outs and he'll let us know how our food bank appeal, I think, finished up, Mark, and how we did in that.
Well do, Paul. Thanks again. Did you get an echo? Did you get an echo there, Paul?
2 seconds there, have I?
Is it me? No, that's that away now. I don't know where that came from. Sorry about that. That seems to be hit now. A few quick shout-outs to guys. Well, first of all, I hope you all had a great Christmas and a nice New Year and your hangovers weren't too bad. Few shout-outs to guys for the forum. Old Tim Alloy, Richie and his family. Hope we had a good time this Christmas. Kev, he's got a tribe of Waynes as well, so hopefully they had a good time. AGG and all the JFP, all the guys that help the forum run along every day of the year and step up to the mark when we do these kind of charity collections and that, Paul. Who's on the chat now before I go on about that? Big Jabber, Evening Jabber, Bobby, Alec, Brian, nice to see you, Brian. Feed the Bear, Michael McKinstry, Mick, that's Mick for the forum, into Mick87, I think I can mind that. Sean Ross, nice to see you there again, pal, nice to see you, bud. Our food bank appeal, it finished at £1,137, I think it was, Paul, or £67, I'm not 100% on off the top of my head, so the majority of that I've already passed on to Father Frank at the chapel. What I said on the forum as well, we cut it off at Christmas Eve. So whatever went in this last week, we were just going to find like a Celtic orientated charity that helps like homeless people about Glasgow or that, Paul, and put in what's left there for that to one of their charities. So I don't know where it is. I think it's about £70 odd. I'll top that up to the £100. I'll get that fired across to one of the charities that like Celtic fans helping the homeless folk out and that. So it's not just going to the the kind of maybe section of Hamilton kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? But again, that's your £10,000 we've collected in 6 years for charity. That's just on the food bank, Paul. That wasn't including Mikey's charity game. When my wife and her sisters and that done that, the memory walk thing when their mum died of dementia and Alzheimer's and that. So, I mean, we must have been raised about £13,000 for charity in the last few years easily, man. That's fantastic for yous. I've said it all the time. All I do is press buttons and set up the pages, but it's all you guys that seem to do that usually step up to the mark. Paul, your mic's muted. I don't know where, but Paul's doing his mic's muted. I don't. I'll just have a wee check at that. I've no muted you. I can't unmute your guest. The mic isn't connected, it's saying. That's right. That's you back. You started drinking already.
Jesus Christ. I was like, bad enough, like, you want to keep me quiet, like, but you know what I mean? That just takes it to the next level, like, you know what I mean?
That's the power. That's the power I've got. You know what I mean? But I just did you hear what I was saying? Aye, could you hear me? Aye, Paul.
Oh, I can, lads. It's just.
Could you hear me there talking? Aye.
As Mark said there, like, credits where credits due. You know, this charity that we did would be nothing without G on the live chat on the phone page. You know, to achieve that much is just blown out of expectations, and it's going to people who need it, especially this difficult time, and going into the new year takes a lot of pressure off a lot of parents. Mark, that's what it does. You know, it really does.
Aye.
You know. So Celtic remain 9 points clear at the top of the table of the SPL. Rangers 2, Celtic 2 was the final score in today's derby at Ibrox. Dijon Meader opening the score for Celtic in the 5th minute. Ryan Kent 11 for the Rangers. And the 47th minute, Starfelt giving away a penalty in the 53rd, and with just excuse my French, but that prick Tavernier scoring again from the spot. Celtic, for me, were denied another stonewall penalty when Goulson handed the ball inside the box, but Celtic do what Celtic do, Mark. You know, we scored, I think it's now, since the start of the season, I think it's 17 goals we scored between the 85th to the 90th minute of
Celtic have been noted for that for years, Paul.
Might be the old Alex Ferguson, you know, the squeaky bum time.
Aye, but I mean, you can even go back to, like, see, like, we're centenary year back in '88 and that, we scored a hell of a lot of late goals in that season as well. And we keep saying the game lasts for 90 minutes. It doesn't matter if you score in the first minute or the 91st minute, it still counts, you know what I mean?
Just going for the just a few stats from the game there. Shots, Rangers had 15 to Celtic 8 on target. Celtic had 2 to their 5. Possession 61 to Celtic to their 39. Passes 3-4-4 to Celtic's 5-3-1. And fouls 30. I can't see yours there, Mark, but Brian commenting it, fouls 13 to their 11.
I think that's what it was, Paul.
Firstly, Mark, I know there was kind of a virus going through the squad today, and team selection was thing like. But if I'm in opinion, Mark, you know, if they're able to be fit enough for the bench, should they be started and then take them off, see how they are for it? Did that backfire us with Taylor today, maybe, and that's why Ange didn't risk the likes of Yasha? And the bad, like, I don't know if a bad was hit with that virus. Like,
nobody's actually come out and said to. We're kind of just guessing who's had that. I noticed as well. Taylor was doing a power of coughing in that. When he was sitting down, so I don't know whether he's had it and tried to soldier on, but it was obviously something like a leg injury that he went off with. But I agree with you, Paul. I think you go with your best team. If Jota was fit to play. Do you know what I mean? Even put him on for the first half.
After the last 2 games, right? The last 2 games, we questioned why Yasser wasn't starting, and Ange came out and said that he was stuck with a virus, but he seems to be okay now, and he seems to be training well. So I was under that impression, Mark, that Yasser was over this virus, and he's been back at training. Hence, we're saving him for this game. You know?
That's what I thought. I thought Jota was been a certainty to start, Paul.
You know?
I think, for me, the turning point was Taylor getting off. I know that sounds a bit bizarre, but it totally messed up the organisation at the back.
I just want to say one thing there. I had in my notes and just things you brought up. We'll say it like Starford would have never given that penalty away if Taylor was still on that pitch, because one, Jovanovic lost his man. Starfeld has to come out Denmark from the centre, and he's out of position. But it's a silly tackle. You could see why he was giving, or you can't see. I think it was harsh looking at the replays back, Mark. I think it was harsh, you know. But if you're looking at real time, you're going to think he's taking it down.
But
Yeah.
I thought it was a penalty, but see the more I'm getting on, Paul, but I've watched it and that, it's just...
It's more of a
as if-
stamp on Starfelt.
He's put his foot on Starfelt's foot, and that's what's took it away. That was the contact. It wasn't like a hard contact for Starfelt. The contact came for the Rangers player landing on Starfelt's foot. So it was. I think it was a bit of a soft one, and I mean that was just ridiculous how that wasn't good.
Definitely, Mark, just go what you said, like if Taylor was playing, Starfelt, I think, would have been in that position to make that tackle. You know?
Aye, that's a good point. I know, aye.
Because I really, like the last couple of weeks, Mark, yourself and Terence is going to be joining us in a minute. I'm being very critical of Ivanovic of late, and I would say I before Ralston all day long to Ivanovic, but fortunately Ralston was injured, so. But
did Juranovic not make his debut in a derby match? Playing his left back. So it's not as if he wasn't capable of doing that, Paul. Because I mean, even kept that the Croatian player that they've got, he kept him out the national team, playing at left back the other week, before a couple of games before the World Cup started. So I don't know. For me, it should have been wee Bernabei. It should have been wee Bernabei.
Putting in a performance like that, Mark, like if you're asking me, like Juranovic should be match fit, playing all these games he was playing in the World Cup, he should be match fit.
He should have been flying, Paul.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about it. You're coming back. Your team's flying your domestic team's flying at the top of the league. Coming back to playing one of the biggest games in the world. It's still regarded as one of the biggest club games in the world. These derbies, Paul. Coming back for a third place finish in the World Cup. He should have been flying when he came on that park today, buzzing to go, and it just wasn't there. Just his attitude. It just looked as if he didn't want to be there.
Yeah, totally agree with that.
There's somebody saying that he was meant to have been ill during the week, and he was supposed to be ill. That's maybe a good shout then. As I says, we don't know. We're giving these guys pelters for giving us a garbage performance today, but for all we know, they were running about there to half. Do you know what it's like if you've got one of these bugs that are going about in that, man? It can hang on you for days at a time. So maybe before we actually slaughter them, we'll maybe keep that in mind right enough that we don't know who has actually been ill or no. But
and what is this virus, Mark? Like, do we know anything about it? Like, is it the flu virus or?
It's just a kind. I don't think it's anything. It's not like a COVID type of hanger at Paul. It's just one of these wee winter bugs that seem to be going about. I've had it. Grot bags has had it. I mean, it's just one of these things that it just seems to be. Just one of these wee bugs that always fly about at this time of year. I know her sister's family, a full lot of them, the Waynes and everything, all caught it. Like just two of them had it, and then they get better. And the next two had it, and then her sister and her man were no well with it and all that. So it's just one of these things. Once it gets in,
it's just the timing of it. Like, you know what I mean? You know.
It's like a chest infection. Aye, it's like probably that thing I had earlier on, Paul, in the month. Mind at the start of the month there, I had a bad chest infection. It maybe just be one of that same thing that's going about.
What about the new lad, Alistair Johnson? How do you think he played today, Mark? I thought he played very well. I was impressed with him.
No problems with him at all. I thought he had a good game, considering again the game that he's coming up on, and he's not played any minutes for us. So he came in for that. I thought he done well. I don't think he was helped with Forrest playing in front of him, which didn't help him. But I don't think he let himself doing it at all.
I think the game, about Forrest, Mark, we knew before this game that they were going to attack us. You know, that they weren't going to sit back. And it just, those type of games now at the moment, I just don't think they suit James Forrest. You know, in the defensive side of his game. You know, he was never the one and Rimac to get back anyway and pull in a tackle. He's not that type of player. He never was, but he was not tracking. He had a poor game today.
I thought it was really poor.
he's came back this year, Mark, and he's got vital goal for us. But he came back. He was shocking today. You know,
to say that was was it his second or third derby appearance in 3 years or something like that, or starting a derby game anyway.
you could see
Again,
why.
Aye, but I think again, Paul, I think it must have been something today with this kind of there's been no well in that when you figure that into the equation, a lot of the kind of weird decisions that we saw today maybe make a bit more sense, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Do you know what I
Forrest
mean?
would have been, it's like what Al there saying there, Mark. Like Forrest would have been started anyway if the likes of Abada and
No, that aye. So you've
and
got to look at it in that.
you know, Haksabanovic too. I would have liked to seen him actually being fit, and it's just a pity he picked up a small little injury, Mark. I want to see him in the derby because I think he gives us that. He give us that bit of a
bit of dig,
bit of a voice and a bit of a fight that we need because
we bit of a nasty streak about him in that.
Like you see there now again today, Mark. There, like again, Cal McGregor was lost in tackles in that midfield again. Like Longstrong there was just he was just controlling that midfield again, and
I know.
we want get like these are the games, Mark, and like you're constantly saying it, I'm constantly saying it. Terence will come on a minute there, he'll say it like we have to win these battles, and we lost it again today. And I'm just hoping that this new guy, Tomoki Iwata, comes in, Mark. Is he the person that Ange now sees after signing 6 players that we finally get a player that we need to be in this position? You know?
Oh, it's definitely something that needs to be looked at, Paul, because it's a terrible thing to sit and say, but Callum McGregor, for me, is one of the weak points in the team. Doing that job that Ange has got him doing. No, I just don't think it's just not his best position at all. And it's taken away for me as well, it's taking away kind of his natural game.
So we saw it there, was it during the Christmas break, Mark, the advantages of having Cal McGregor in that forward role when he got that rocket there the last week or so there.
Aye.
You know, like there are the benefits of having him in this forward role, and that's what you're saying there. Like, are we taking that? We're taking that away from his game. You know.
Aye.
You know, we really are.
Big Jabba. I'm happy with the draw. See, I'm not happy with the draw. Obviously, I'm happy for the draw considering we were 2-1 down, but they're still not a good. They're not a good team at all, Paul. I've said that. I was speaking to Mike earlier on this morning about it and that as well. I mean, you watch their last few games and that, and they're skinning. They're getting through these games with the skin of their teeth. And for Celtic again, they discount
them goals.
But Paul, what'd you say?
I said we gifted them the goals.
Aye. Well,
you know,
they gifted us the first tune, our first tune, right enough. But that's just what these games can spin on, Paul. But I mean, you take away right, Forest with starting injuries, blah blah, sickness, illnesses, whatever. But Celtic, the amount of players that we've got in our squad, Paul, and the wages that we're paying these players, etc., we should have still been able to beat them today. We really should have. I mean, we can say if this, if that, and we were 2-1 down, so it was good to get the draw. But I mean, we were still 1-0 up at one point, and we should have built on that. And it, Hart,
you know what, Mark? Do you know what I was looking at today, and I think where kind of what gave them a bit more encouragement and made us more nervous was that pass out there by Joe Hart.
That's what I was just going to say.
They nearly scored. It seemed kind of just after that they grew in confidence and we started to be a bit more shaky, you know. And I noticed that a few times, Mark, that if we, especially kind of last season when we were playing out from the back and when we were making the silly mistakes, our defence then seemed to be all over the place because of that one mistake. And it seemed like that today as well. We were all over the place because of that one mistake. You know?
It kind of knocks it kind of knocks them off their stride. It looks like, Paul, but it was that mess up with Hart and the fact with Taylor. You know, that was the kind of for me. That was the two things that changed.
Taylor was the blow. Taylor was the blow today, Mark. It really was. You know, like if you're looking at last season, we were talking about Radisson being the most improved player, but if you look at improved play over the course of a year, it has to be Taylor. Really has to be.
Aye. Taylor's done this year what Ralston done last year, Paul.
Yeah. Really, really has. But for me, Mark, it's like, I know we got a point, but for me it's 3 points gained because we're still 9 points clear at the top, but that could have been cut to fucking 6, which have been them. Like, this is a big blow to them more than it is to us. We didn't win that today.
The draw, I mean, obviously we'd all have preferred to win, but the draw suits us just as much, really. I mean, that's us chalked off a visit to Ibrox and we're still 9 points clear. So really, I mean, I can't see much. I've said it all along, Paul, and I said it to Big Jabber coming home for the game last week. I think I've said on here, if Ange loses a 9 point lead in the league, Paul, I would probably want him sacked, to be honest.
Oh, definitely, Mark.
You know what I mean? You really need to. That would. I mean, I can't see it happening. So really, it's a mute point because that was their last chance to actually mount any kind of challenge to us this year. Because then mathematically, they can always, what Beale was going on about, this piss she was coming out with the other day, but it would just come down to the next 2 derbies kind of thing, and maybe that was what they were hoping. But that the day for us to keep that, as you say, probably 9 point gap, it's job done. That's the only time that we need these kind of tricky away games. Get in, get a result, and get out of Dodge. And that's what they done the day, although the result wasn't perfect. It's still done its job for us.
Are we actually, Mark?
Hi, David. Nice to see you, mate. I don't know if you've been in before, but thanks for coming in.
Since
we need a keeper.
I was actually only thinking of that today, Mark. I was actually you know how I feel about Joe Hart, like his experience and stuff like that. But I'm looking at it now, Mark. He made the mistake, but if you look at the save Denmark he made after that, do you know what I mean, to push the ball onto the post.
Aye.
In a way, Joe Hart saves you, but then he can cost you Denmark with silly mistakes like that. But a mistake isn't every keeper, Mark. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
Like we saw the risk we took on Barker. So we saw that risk, Mark. We took we got it totally wrong. Marcus,
he's one of the top keepers in Holland, isn't he? And they're no way Barcus will be back at Celtic. That Utrecht his way. They'll take that option up. Man, he's been getting man of the match and player of the month stuff and all that for months there.
Well, he's never coming back to Celtic.
No, he's not coming back to Celtic, but just the one. I mean, it was one of them. See, on paper, he was a great signing, and it didn't work out. And he's went away, and he's doing well for this other team. And I said at the time, Barcus is the type of player. We'll come up against him one day in the Champions League, and he'll have a world against us and put us out of Europe or something like that.
That's going to do for Celtic, though, Mark. What he's going to do, Mark, is just push up his transfer fee for us.
That'll be all agreed now, is it no? Is it no a loan with an option to buy? I'm sure there was.
Was there? Jesus Christ, they probably gave him for nothing. So, because we spent 5 million on him, Mark, didn't we?
I don't think we'll get that back from him.
No, we won't. But I'm saying if there wasn't an option there to buy, Mark, we need to get close to that because of his appearances, what he's doing at the moment over there, because he is improving,
Just having a wee scout about there. They're saying there's actually places reporting that Utrecht can't afford to buy him. Doesn't matter. He'll not be there. He'll not be back at Celtic anyway. You'll have caught somebody's eye. Do you get what I mean? You'll have caught another team's eye playing in Holland. They'll put the link out for turns.
Now, there's one thing I want to ask you, Mark, was our penalty. Now, people are saying cheating Beaton again, but if you actually look back at the cameras, Mark, Beaton was actually going off to the monitor, and it was really Colm told him not to go over there. It wasn't the penalty. So it was really Colm that, and I was looking then, Mark, I was thinking back at Willie Colm. Is he maybe afraid to give a decision against Rangers in case they file a report back on him again? He won't get another derby again?
But I've seen somebody's put footage up on Twitter, Paul, and it's showing you beating, and you can clearly see what he's saying. I don't know who it is he's saying it to, but he's basically saying it's not up to me. And
like that, yeah.
And Andy Walker brought it up, but I think it was Andy Walker that brought it up today as well. He said, well, who's actually making these decisions in the game?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I've said all along.
You said that, Mark, that
the referee's decision's final.
That's actually reffing the games now, not the referees anymore in Scotland. Bawz reffing the game, you know.
Aye, crazy that he didn't go and even have a look at that on the monitor. That, for me, that's the kind of thing that they should be getting questioned.
Well, this is the penalty that you would expect Willie Collum to give all day long. Do you know the type of manager he is? Type of referee he is, Willie Collum.
Would there have been a penalty at the other end?
I think he just didn't want to give it, Mark, because he wouldn't get another derby game. You know, simple as, because if you look at the penalties that were given against us over the course since VAR came in, I mean, that's ridiculous not to get that, Mark. Like, it really, like, his hands are up blocking the ball, going into the goal. Do you know what I mean?
Aye. Paul, you just fucking... I hate having to talk about his VAR, man. We said we'd try and note it, but there was a difference, Paul. Ifs and buts kind of thing. But if we get that penalty, who's to say we wouldn't have won that game 3-2?
Exactly, Mark, yeah.
And it's time, I mean... the one I keep getting back to, Paul, was the Hearts one. Sorry, Terence, I'm blaring away. Forgot Terence was here. All right, Terence, bud. Evening, Terence.
Happy New Year to you, boys.
Same to you, buddy. Hope you had a nice Christmas and that too.
Yeah, all good now, lads. Thank God. And yourselves, I hope I was all good.
Aye.
Good. We're just talking about...
Evening, you, Deef. Thanks for coming in again, bud. Nice to see you.
We're just talking about our penalty shout there with Goulson's handball. That it was actually really Collum that didn't give it, not beaten. You know.
But Paul, I said this to Bochi last week. I said to you that VAR was going to dictate a huge part of the game. Mm-hmm. But Paul, you don't know, nor I don't know. For all you know, Willie Collum could have told your man to go look at it, and he might have made the decision himself not to go look at it. We don't know because you don't hear anything. Mm-hmm. Like he didn't. He made like even the penalty. You could see one of the Celtic fellas going, "Would you not have a look at it?" And he was like, "Why?" You could see him basically saying, "Why will I look? Why do I need to look at it?" He thinks it's a penalty. But that one is just like when you're given a penalty against Matt O'Reilly a couple of weeks ago, was it Ross County game, and you're given the penalty against the Argentinian lad when the ball's behind his back, and you're giving penalties left, right, and centre. But Paul, if you saw it, when you see the penalty that Hibs didn't get against your man Sands, does it surprise you that penalty wasn't given today?
Exactly, Terence.
You know, but I said this. The only surprising thing to me today was there wasn't a Celtic player sent off, and there was no challenge that warranted anyone to be sent off that allowed that to occur. Like
the only person in the team to me today who was given in challenges was Mida. You know, I thought he was stuck into the
he did. He had a fine game, but there was no tackle that you thought, that's touch and go, that allowed that decision to be brought into the equation.
But then, Terence, do we, like, for me, I want that, like, do you know what I mean? I want it, like, I don't know if it's just you, like, but I want the Celtic player to get booked for these tackles because it sets this marker down to the other team. You're not going to fuck us around. Do you know what I mean? You know?
Oh yeah, but you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that, Paul, if you have McGregor, Tate, and O'Reilly in the midfield.
Yeah, because we were just talking about that there, Terence, before he came on, like, and I just said, look, it's getting plainer and plainer each time. McGregor's not suited to that role. Like, Longstone there was again controlling that game against himself and Camera. Like, Camera's a player there, Mark, who supposedly was out of the club, and he puts in a performance there, and he runs the midfield. Do you know what I mean? You know, like, I'm not blaming McGregor. I'm not saying McGregor's a bad player, but Mark, going back to what you're saying, in that role, he is the weakest link. You know.
Aye. As in, again, for the last couple of seasons, not even going back to him under Gerrard, we always said it was the physical side of these games that we struggled with. They just kind of bullies in midfield and we've not got any answer for it.
No, I just don't. I think, Mark. You know, would you agree with me? Like, but does this Celtic team on the edge, because we're so light and we have to be like the way he plays to play this attracting fast football? Do we not like teams in our faces, or can we not handle that type of a team when we play against them? Do you think?
I don't know, but
But it wasn't fast football today, though, Paul. That's the problem. Celtic's problem is the first 10 or 15 minutes, Paul, Celtic were well on top. Rangers looked rightly rattled. They looked like they were making plenty of space. Then it all kind of stemmed when Joe Hart had that brain fart. What he was trying to do.
Yeah, that's
what he was trying to do, I don't know, and it seemed to give them a huge lift. But then, like you said, like if you watched it, Lundstrom nearly went back to 3 centre backs. Lundstrom nearly went back to the centre back role. And Kamara, and they dominated. For me, they dominated the middle of the park from maybe 20 odd minutes. After first 20 minutes, Celtic were well on top, and then after that, from then on, I thought they were well on top in midfield. I don't understand, without repeating myself so many times, I don't understand sometimes the pace that Celtic play at. It's above walking pace today, and there's an awful lot of this tippy tappy stuff. I know my wife slagging me about it there a minute ago, saying, "I bet you're going to say that." But there was a lot of all this. Like, there was times I really like Atata, but there's times he got the ball today in space and he just slowed down instead of getting it and kind of driving at their defence. And like, because for me, Maeda had Tavernier all over the place.
He did, yeah.
You know, and just give him ball in space. I don't know. I think when we went 1-0 up so early, we went back in our shells and tried to just nearly, I won't say hold the 1-0, but try and control it, and it didn't. And to be fair, we were blessed to get out of it 2-2, to be honest.
No, I can't disagree with that, Terence, man, because I said it all along, and to a extent to what you're saying, I said, is this down to the players that play? And I remember at the same time, it always seems to be kind of, unfortunate to say, when James Forrest is in the team, we seem to be a lot slower. You know, is it certain players that slow down the team? You know,
well, it could be, Paul. Like, I mean, I like James Forrest as a player, but I thought he was very poor today. I thought he offered very little protection to the new lad, the Canadian lad. I thought he hardly tracked back at all against Barisic. He didn't even come back, and on a lot of occasions the lad was left 2-on-1. I thought he had a fine game now, mind you, but I was surprised Forrest lasted as long as he did. If I'm to be honest, I thought he was poor, but they were carrying 2 or 3 guys today. I mean, obviously Juranovic, I heard you mention it there a few minutes ago. He had a horror game. He had an absolute horror game for a guy who was
parents, like, because like Mark was saying there, when he made his debut last season, he played at left back and
he was brilliant.
And it's not a position that's strange for him, because he played there numerous times. We were actually saying he was the best left back in the club at the time.
He was.
Aye.
You know?
But if you push that back to 12 months ago when he played, Paul, for me there's a huge similarity to the way he played today and the way the likes of Odson Edward played.
No, definitely, yeah.
Aye.
Edward was the guy that wanted out, and he didn't really give 2 hoots. I mean, if you saw an under 10s marking for that first goal, the way he marked that Sakala fella, you'd be going, you'd be asking him, what are you doing? Like,
that's what I said. Like, if Taylor was still in the pitch at that time, Starford wouldn't have been in that position to give away the penalty as well.
But Taylor would have been goal side.
Yeah,
Taylor would have been goal side for starters. I don't think it was a penalty anyway, but that's my opinion. I had a few choice words with someone today on that.
A bit of a kind of grudge in there on the form page today, but like looking at it back, Terence, and looking at the replays and things, like Starfelt doesn't touch him; it's his leg that's on top of Starfelt's.
That was my point. My point was he stood on Starfelt's leg. Yeah. Starfelt goes to ground. I know he shouldn't go to ground, but Starfelt hasn't made any contact with him. He hasn't made any contact with the ball. As you meant, Sakala is obviously going to push himself back inside, whatever. He stands on Starfelt's foot. Yes, Starfelt's foot's going, so it brings his foot with him. I don't see how there's contact by Starfelt. I think that
already kind of, how would you kind of, his legs are kind of stretched apart. Do you know what I mean? By the time Starfelt gets to him, like, he was already kind of going to floor. Do you know?
The ball was going nowhere, really.
No.
As Terence says here, he didn't really need to gun for the ball as such, but he did. But I agree with you, Terence. At first I thought it was a penalty, but see the more I've watched it and the slow downs and stuff like that, I don't think it was a penalty either. I really don't. As you said, the contact wasn't for Starfelt to him. It was for him to Starfelt.
Mark, you looking at Denmark. Do you know what I mean? Like what Terence is saying, like VAR will be a big problem this game. Starfelt shouldn't have went to ground either in a position like that. Do you know what I mean? When he was going out wide anyway, kind of a thing. Like, do you know what I mean? You know, because we
That's the worst I've seen Starfelt playing a while.
yeah, you know what, Mark, I'm looking at, I was thinking of it today, like, looking at there, like, Jesus Christ, like, we would have probably nearly better off having Jens in there today than Starfelt. Starfelt was very poor there today.
Again, was he one of these ones that debugged during the week or that, and he's soldiered on and...
No, Mark, because you know what I think now, Mark, got to him, and I've seen it now a few times, Mark. If Starfelt kind of got wound, I think Morales kind of got on the wound up side of him today, and that affected Starfelt's game. Instead of worrying about his own game, I think he was just freaking worried about Morales. You know, that's what I think happened to him today.
You think so?
But at the same time, though, Paul, if you look at Starfelt for the first 20 minutes or so, give or take, he didn't really put a foot wrong. He didn't put a foot wrong, I didn't think. But it's no coincidence that Starfelt plays on the left side of the defence, and then Juranovic comes onto the left side of the defence, and Juranovic has an absolute nightmare. It was nearly mimicking when Starfelt played it wasn't as bad, but when he played his first game against Hearts, where he had to continually be dragged out to the wings to defend.
Yeah, exactly. And we were actually... It was actually Taylor's fault at that time because Taylor wasn't up to speed. It was in the early days of Ange's management time when Taylor wasn't up to speed with the way Ange plays. And to what you were saying there, Starfelt used to always have to come out to the left and out of position. Do you know what I mean? And
he was dragged out a few times today, which is something you don't normally see because Taylor's been probably the best player Celtic have had this season. You know what I mean? Consistent wise, he's been fantastic, and I just think Juranovic coming on had a very, very poor game. And to me, maybe he's a guy watching himself. Maybe he's a guy he's known he's gone out the door. I don't know, but he wasn't a patch on Juranovic. We know, like
a guy 2 times who was afraid to get injured.
Well, that's what I'm saying, Paul. Is he watching himself because he knows there's a move on the cards? Is he watching himself? You know what I mean? I don't know, but the way he played, if that was Juranovic's first game 12 months ago, we'd all be going, God, this guy's rubbish.
Definitely.
You know, we'd be worried. We'd be saying, oh, well, at least it was only 2.5 million or 3 million. It wasn't huge money, like.
But are you not one bit surprised then why he didn't bring on Barnaby? You know what I mean? Are you not one bit surprised we didn't bring him on? You know, instead of like we have a natural left footer there on the bench, unless he was hit by the flu, we don't know, but we presume he's not. Is that a kick in the balls then to him, Mark? If Juranovic comes on instead of him, a player who wants to be going away?
Well, it is if he comes on and plays the way he did. You know what I mean? If you're sitting there watching that, but I'd have went for Barnaby just for the simple fact that we know Juranovic doesn't want to be there. I mean, it is all that stuff in the press. It's all you never know, and the players no say then, and the Anges and they say then, and the hints are there. We know what's happening. He's changed his agent and everything. So
there's always some kind of link to some sort of rumours. There's always a link there, like, do you know what I mean?
There's no way we'd have brought in the Canadian lad Johnson if Juranovic was going to be hanging about.
No chance.
So I don't know why you didn't put Barnaby on, but for me that would have been the kind of natural choice. But
maybe Mark, the only thing is he didn't want to put Barnaby on and have Johnson on as well, in a sense that it's two really, really good. Maybe he assumed that Juranovic has been there for so long. That Juranovic is there for so long that he needs a little bit of experience in this big game rather than Barnaby on one side and Johnson on the other side. I'm obviously it's only just my opinion, and maybe that was what Pastor Cogley looked at and thought he was worried.
I would think as well, actually, that which probably was thinking that way as well. You know, that Juranovic would have been the experienced defender on the bench, bring him on in such an important game. You know, I could agree with that, definitely. You know, he didn't do it though, did he? You know,
no, he didn't. He didn't. So I said the first goal, when I was watching it, I was like, what? Like especially the fact that the guy can't be offside when he's standing on the halfway line, regardless of whether Juranovic is 10 yards in front of him or 20 yards in front of him. Do you know what I mean? That's schoolboy stuff. Juranovic should be goal side of him all day long, like.
Yeah, definitely. Today, the lads that came on, Yota changed the game, Abada changed the game. I was very impressed with Moy again today when he came on for his contribution to the goal. Kyogo was in the right place, and to be honest, like, there was a lot of players around him, and that was a nice calm finish by Kyogo there. He could have just whacked this and it could have went anywhere, but he kept himself composed and hit the target.
It was a good. It was a nice finish for Kyogo. Moy, I've never been Moy's biggest fan, but give me his due. Came on again the day, and as you said, Paul, he played well.
Mm-hmm.
I think he brought a bit of I know we keep saying, he slows things down, but he brought a bit of calmness to see, like what Terence was talking about. This
they've experienced there, Mark. Yeah, because they were saying that. I think it was it Andy Walker was saying that, like, Moyes, he's been there, he's done that. He knows when to let the ball go or when to hold on to the ball. I think he brought that kind of experience into that midfield that wasn't there really. Like, you know what I mean? And like, O'Reilly has been very below par as well the last couple of weeks.
That's what I was going to say there. It kind of pains me to say it, but I would definitely be picking Moy before O'Reilly for the next couple of games anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it doesn't mean O'Reilly's a bad player. It's just he's needing maybe a wee bit of rest, a wee bit of time out the team to get kind of regrouped or something like that. It's not working for O'Reilly now. Do you know what I mean? So you should be making a change.
But in saying that, Mark, it's not working for O'Reilly in that position. It was working perfectly for O'Reilly in the other position.
Mm-hmm.
But Postecoglou, we all said that he surely won't change him. And he's taken him out of when he was in the holding midfielder role, and he flourished. And since he's been taken out of that role for Calamakis and put that bit further forward, he hasn't. He's been, by his standards, he's been quite poor. So, like, I would much prefer to see him further back again. Like,
has O'Reilly's head been turned? Maybe, like, I thought no kind of official kind of interest in O'Reilly yet, Mark, have you?
No, nothing concrete or that, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously there will be people scouting him and sniffing about in that, but I've not heard anybody actually coming up with any kind of formal interest or bid.
Like, when we're saying O'Reilly's been poor, but you could look back then and say, right, but we don't have this proper player in that midfield to grab the ball and get it to O'Reilly so O'Reilly can make an impact on the ball. Do you know what I mean? That it does O'Reilly and Hayase game get affected when we don't have this proper playmaker in there?
Any players would, Paul. Any half decent player would.
Yeah.
As we said, like when Calamak was out and it was O'Reilly and it was Atate and it was maybe Moy or whoever. I mean, O'Reilly to me looked very, very good in that holding midfield role.
Andy, he can pick a pass. He knows.
Of course he can, but he's physical. He's a better tackler. He's more physical than Callum McGregor would be. That's just the nature of the beast. Mm-hmm. Like we all said here before that we'd be very surprised if Postecoglou didn't put Callum McGregor further forward in the number 8 role if they were having 2 number 8s and leave O'Reilly where he was, because he was performing, he was doing well. There was no reason to change it, but obviously he feels that there is a reason to change it. But I think it's to the detriment of O'Reilly's game, because I don't think he's been as effective as he can be in the forward role in certainly since McGregor's come back. That's only my opinion. I don't think we've seen the best of O'Reilly by a long way.
Mm-hmm. But what happens now? So right, like we've signed this new lad, Iwase, I think his name is. I hope it is anyway. If I can pronounce it right, if it's not, probably not anyway. But this is a player Ange signed for Yokohama. This is the player he said he wanted to sign kind of last season. I think he said he wanted to sign him last season, but he couldn't get him, so he got. So what happens now? Like, is he going to slot into this role, Mark, or is this going to be another player who we have now? Like, we have 6 players now nearly that can play that position. Is he going to be another player that's going to sit there and Calamak's going to continue in there? Because this is a player Ange said that he wanted. So where's the shuffle here, do you think?
That's a hard one, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it really is, because I don't think this guy get voted to MVP or in Japan and that. I mean, that's like player of the player of the year kind of thing for them. And you think about the amount of Japanese players that are about the place, some accolades. I don't think it's a kind of conundrum, really. I don't think Ange will change it. But again, why is he bringing many of these players in to play in this position if they're not going to play?
Did you see the clips of this fella playing with Mida? The passes he was making to him and to the wingers and the tackles. Like, this is the player, Mark, we're saying that we needed. And so this is a player that Ange wants himself.
I've said that with Gucci.
I fucking thought it was Gucci. I
mean, no, but many players. But you're saying, Paul, how many players have come in? We thought it was going to be Abelgard.
Is he going to fall into this category again? And are we going to see or struggle? Do you know what I mean? Like, I've heard rumours now that we're going to cancel Allegard's contract in during this transfer.
But if you were the player, Paul, you'd want it cancelled.
It's probably about downtowns, yeah, of course.
You know, I mean, if you're a specific defensive holding midfielder role and you can't get a look in, and you're not even close to getting a look in, and I remember as was said on here before, apparently the likes of Atletico Madrid were looking at him there in past. You would have to leave, and especially the fact that they've signed another guy in your position. And this lad that I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his name, what you did there, the Japanese fella, Paul. Apparently, a Muscat, or the fella who used to be the Rangers player, he was Ange's assistant. He came out and he said Celtic were after getting an absolutely unbelievable player. Yeah. They said he's after getting. He basically said you're after getting just a pure athlete, is what he came out to basically say.
Well, sorry, there's Bobby posted there, and I was waiting for it till we got to the conversation, Bob, to bring it in. What you said in your text, as I said earlier, like, I have to agree. Is McCarthy, Gucci, and Allegard, they won't be here. You know, is this three then gone, and this player is going to be either the backup to Cal McGregor, or he's going to rotate it between the two of them? I don't know. You know.
Well, it depends. I don't know if McCarthy will be away this month, right enough. I don't know what his fitness is after that injury he picked up. So
I think he's still injured, Mark. Yeah,
I think so. But I don't think any of these three that Bobby's mentioned there's got any real kind of future at Celtic.
Mm-hmm. No, you could add Scott Robinson to that as well.
Well, he's gone. I think he's gone. Because did he come out there? Recently, Terence there. I think he came out and the Celtic kind of B team news. It kind of popped up in that he needs to kind of look. Kind of should be start playing first team football now, and if it's not at Celtic, it has to be somewhere else. And I think he's away at that as well. You know.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I would say, Paul, is there's no point in Celtic signing this player if he's all the reviews of him are through the roof. If they're not going to give him a chance in playing. If his sole purpose is, and if you said that Postecoglou signed him and he's mad about him, and apparently he wanted to sign him last season but didn't get a chance, if he signs him, then surely he has to play him. And
I think at the time, Terence, Yokohama didn't want him and Maeda go at the same season. They didn't want to lose their two big players.
Okay.
You know? And I think that's why they didn't let him go last season. I don't know, Mark. I think I'll have to agree with that as well. Turnbull days could be numbered. Like, he's not even getting the bench now. Like, is he?
He was banned. He was banned.
He was suspended. He was suspended.
Are his days numbered?
I don't think they're numbered now, but I think maybe say a year, 18 months down the line, his time will be up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think. I mean, Turnbull plays in a totally different position for like that of water that we're bringing in. Do you know? I mean, he's more like kind of your cover for Hatate or the Riley position. He's more like your backup for the two positions. So I don't think he'll be away like this month or like or in the summer, but maybe next summer. I think maybe it'll be time for Turnbull to be moved on.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know you don't like him, Paul, but on his day, he's not at the heights we expected of him, but he's still a decent player.
I think, do you know what pisses me off with Turnbull?
His haircut.
I was going to say his haircut. His haircut,
definitely. Paul's just jealous of that.
Turnbull could have a great game, and then he could have a shit game then for about 4 or 5 games. Turnbull on the day, Mark, can can score spectacular goal, and I've seen him do that, and I gave him credit. Like, not often he gets it from me, but he does get it. But it's just consistent with Turnbull, Mark. Do you know what I mean? He just if that was on the Ange, Mark, that progressed. Has Turnbull actually progressed on the Ange?
No, he hasn't played enough.
That's what I was going to say. I don't think he's played enough. Again, he's been injured a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think that's helped his kind of career progression the way when Turnbull was at Motherwell, he was one of the best young players in Scotland. No doubt whatsoever about it. And then he picked up that bad injury that stopped the transfer. And I think it was a case if he could get out of that. And really, has he got out of that? Is there still some niggling wee thing about that injury that's just holding him back, kind of thing?
Just want to come back to a post there, Mark, from Michael McKinstry, is it?
That's Mick 87 for the forum, Paul. That's who that is. That's Mick 87.
So the problem with players is that the players we have brought in that position, they are too safe in possession. Too safe possession. I want to pass it side. I'll have to agree with that. Do you mean is that maybe the problem that they're not like what I was saying to you, Mark? But the type of player Ange wanted, it wasn't necessarily a holding midfielder. It was kind of a more of an attacking defender kind of a thing like that. You know what I mean? That gets the ball, gets these tackles high up the field and keeps the ball moving. So
and can ping long range passes to start counter attacks and stuff like that.
Get rid of the ball, Mark, instead of pushing the ball side to side all the time. And maybe that's why, like what Michael's saying there, like that these likes of Allegard, Gucci. Well, I'm not going to say Gucci because Gucci can pass the ball. I know that, but you have to put Gucci in there. Who else is there? McGregor can't do it either, though, can he? He can't just get these tackles and get up and get the ball moving straight away either, you know?
But the only thing, Paul, is of the names that you're mentioning, did Postecoglou not bring in both Gucci and Allegard?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So it doesn't make, why bring in? Fair enough, I know Gucci was riddled with injuries, but Allegard didn't really get any chance. So I would hope if they're going to bring in this Japanese lad, they're bringing him in for a purpose and they're bringing him in for a reason. If it's to be second fiddle to McGregor, then he's not going to get much game time.
Yeah, what's the point? In?
And in 12 months' time, we'll have another Iraguchi where he's gone back to Japan or gone back somewhere else, and that would be, like we've all agreed here that McGregor's a fabulous player, no question about it. Probably the best player that Celtic have consistently, very very good, but we just don't feel that role is his, or at least for me, at least have someone beside him, at least even have a 4-2-3-1 if that's the way they want to do it, or change it slightly. But the notion of just McGregor sitting there by himself, you're going to get away with it against the lesser teams, no disrespect meant to them. But in a game like today, Celtic got away with a draw. And as I said, after 20 minutes, Kamara had the middle of the park to himself and Lundstrom was striding passes all over the place.
Yeah.
Celtic weren't getting a hand on these two guys. So, unless they want to bring in a guy that's going to sit beside McGregor and allow McGregor to pull the strings, so to speak, and he's there to kind of, if you want to do the passing as well, but kind of mop up, then great. But if he's going to bring in this young lad as a backup to McGregor, what game time is he going to get? McGregor play 50 plus games a season at times.
Mm-hmm. Just touching on something there, Mark, that Terence said there. Could you maybe see Ange maybe tweaking the formation and put someone inside long? Can McGregor with this new fella coming in and changing the formation, not the style of play, but the formation?
But if you look at past some of the games, Paul, even before they kind of shut down for the World Cup and that, but the team was coming up as a 4-2-3-1 in that on the television. So it's all, I mean, formation, it's all right going on about this formation, that formation, Paul, but as you say, it's more to do with the actual way that they play. The formation's really neither here nor there when it comes down to the nitty gritty. Just depends. That's just where the basically players stand during the game, kind of thing. But I've said it for long enough. McGregor, that isn't where McGregor should be playing for Celtic.
Or if he is, Mark, like Terence said there, have someone like side him, like we had with Scott Brown, but let Cal McGregor dictate the game. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
You know,
Aye.
you were
Because,
saying
I
that
mean,
for months here on the podcast.
even when Scott Brown was in the team, it should have been McGregor that was. But again, Paul, when you watch McGregor, he's not the type. We're talking about like we prefer McGregor the way we used to, but the way he used to ping passes about as well. McGregor doesn't really do that much either now. I mean, see if you think back to when McGregor maybe 4 or 5 years ago, some of his passing about the pitch was absolutely outstanding.
Do you know what, Mark? I actually think could that side of his game actually, like, I'm not saying he forgot how to do it, but he's not inclined to do it anymore because he was so used to kind of
It's been coached at him, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Instead of just playing his natural kind of whatever his natural game is, he's doing what he's more inclined to be. All right, I need to do this. This is what the manager wants me to do.
Exactly. Do you think that's maybe that could be a problem there? Why we don't see that anymore from the Mark? That it could have been coached out of him, because
it really could be.
It was coached out of him under Lennon when he was playing with Scott Brown, because all he was doing with Scott Brown was just playing a second defensive midfielder, really.
Aye. Play second fiddle to Scott Brown.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe Paul, if the option is there that there is a second guy like this Japanese lad comes in and allows McGregor to go that little more forward, he might have, because if he's in the sense to sit and hold a midfielder, maybe his worry is if I try and ping these passes and they don't come off, are we going to be cut out? Whereas if he's tries those passes in a little bit further forward, he knows he's got cover behind him. I don't know. That's again me just.
Yeah, but what I saw then as well, Terence, and it's going back to what I was saying as a coach. When I seen Cal McGregor in that more forward role, he kind of slips back into that midfield area. Do you get me? You know, is that more forward role kind of out of his game now, because he kind of stays in around the centre circle? No, do you get me?
It probably is, Paul. It's probably like along the lines of, as you said, when Scott Brown started, he would have been up and down all day, and the older they get, the more they kind of drift back into the sitting role, like Scott Brown did. Roy Keane did something similar. He started, so maybe it's a case that eventually it just kind of, he might say to himself, well, I can get up, but maybe I need to be careful that I mightn't be able to get back. Mm-hmm. So maybe he wants to keep the ball in front of him all the time. So that's a possibility as well. Like,
has the kind of World Cup given Mead a confidence boost? Because since he came back from the World Cup, he just looks like a different player to me. The way he's running, he's tracking back, getting in these tackles. So that he seems more of the player, Mark, that I was telling you about, where he's running with the ball. Remember you were saying, Mark, before, he seems to kind of stop and turn. Now he seems to be like what you said there, Terence, like he had Tavernier in his pocket all day long today. He was kept running. We weren't giving the ball enough to do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are we actually seeing the best of Rita since the World Cup? Did that give him a confidence boost, do you think?
Yeah, I do anyway. And not only that, Paul, he's playing with a smile.
Mm-hmm.
Something he wasn't doing a couple of months ago. He's playing with a smile in his face. He looks happy to be playing. He looks happy to be playing football. Yeah. He looks happy to be playing with Celtic. He looks happy to be playing football. He looks like he's enjoying himself, and that's obviously his confidence is through the roof, because every time he got the ball, Maeda a couple of months ago might have got it and looked to go backwards. Every time he got the ball today, he looked to go around Tavernier. And in fairness, there was 2 or 3 balls he put into the box, and they were just out of this world. Unfortunately, we didn't have anyone at the end of them, but I thought he had an excellent game. Compared to the way he played in that wing and what we had on the other wing, it was day and night. You know what I mean? I thought Maeda had a cracking game, to be honest with you.
There was nothing coming in. There was nothing coming in there on the James Forrest side until Abada came in, Mark. So there was nothing there. Like, I actually don't remember James Forrest's name actually being mentioned in that first half.
See you later, Feed the Bear. Thanks very much for coming in tonight, mate. Good night, but God bless. Mm-hmm. No, Forrest was over nothing. But as Terence said there, some of Maguida's crosses were quality. They should have a better striker on the park would have probably scored another couple of goals the other day with some of Maguida's crosses into the box.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in the first half.
Yeah, he put one in. He put one in there after he had scored his goal. I'd say in about 10 or about 15 minutes into the game, he put a ball in there, and it was one of those ones. As I say, it was a corridor of uncertainty right along the 6-yard box. The defender couldn't go for it. The keeper couldn't go for it. You know, it was a fabulous ball in, but it was actually one that James Forrest was on his heels for. He wasn't on his toes to react. You know, like whereas we would have seen a bad in times gone by. Whereas a bad, it nearly comes in as an extra striker when the ball's on the net. He kind of comes flying into, like he's had a couple of finishes against Rangers from doing that exact same thing, coming in from the blind side and catching the defenders out. You know, I don't know whether James Forrest was on today, Paul, just to stop Barisic getting forward. No, he didn't do it, but whether that was the role, I don't know. But you know, he was poor.
Oh yeah, geez, like because
Johnson and Forrest have been training together for weeks as well, Terence. So maybe they thought they've got maybe built up a wee bit of rapport in training because Johnson was playing the game. I mean, none of them were away for the World Cup or anything like that. Well, when Johnson came back after the first round, so he's been at training with Celtic for the past few weeks with Forrest. So maybe Angie's thought in that as well. Just they've been training together, maybe built up a wee bit of rapport. But nah,
surely a bad it would have been as well, the Mark, wouldn't he?
Well, right, that's a point then.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying. I'm assuming a bad it wouldn't have been away with anyone either. Like, so surely a bad it would have been doing training as well, all along.
Aye. Oh, that's a good point.
Barisic must have been delighted he didn't see a bad in that starting lineup today. He probably was delighted. He probably had James Forrest there. You know.
Yeah. You'd have never picked that. You'd have never picked that Celtic 11 starting today. I'd have been very surprised if anyone had picked that team.
No,
I don't think anybody. But I don't think James Forrest would have probably picked himself. Do you know what I mean? That's one of the things. I don't think it's probably again we're saying down to this illness or down to whatever. But I mean, Forrest must be at least he's basically our third choice right winger, really, isn't he?
Definitely not. Yeah.
So there's a reason. There must be an underlying reason why he started today.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I think it was more a defensive setup than it was an attacking setup. That was the first thing when I saw the lineup. I thought, obviously, Boyeda has a bit of pace, and he kind of would hold back Tavernier. And I assumed they were putting Forrest there to be more defensively to stop Barisic getting forward and to help your man Johnson. No, he didn't do either of the two of them, but that's what I saw when I first initially saw the side. I thought, that's a strange one, but that's the only reason I could see him in there. Like
today, Terence, is we've seen James Forrest this season play ultimately well in games when he has come on and he has played. Like that game he started against Hearts when he got to 2 goals. And then you compare to the level then he put in today, like it's just like, where's that James Forrest gone? Do you know what I mean? You know, like that's what I couldn't understand. Is like his whole wrong performance there was just shocking. You know,
there was a lot of players below par though for me, Paul, today.
Oh, definitely.
I know Forrest was in particular. He had a very poor game, but I think sometimes James Forrest plays well when Celtic play well. But when Celtic struggle, he's not the James Forrest of old that he can kind of have that burst of speed and burst of pace and go around him. And he obviously, its age has probably just got up to him that he doesn't have that anymore. And I just think he struggled, and he struggled badly today, as along with a lot of the Celtic players, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. What players, Terence, comes to mind?
Well, for me, I thought obviously Juranovic I thought he was very poor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like saying it, but I do think Starfelt struggled a bit. But I do think it's down to the fact that Juranovic came on as left back.
Yes,
I definitely think O'Reilly was poor.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Forrest was poor. I thought as much as he ran around, I thought Kyogo struggled in a lot of the game. No, he was there when it counted for the finish, no question about it. But I know he didn't get a lot of ball, but I did think he struggled in a lot of the game, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So, 4 or 5 guys, I thought, their levels, and they weren't, for me, they were a long way off it. So you're always going to struggle, Again, that's personal opinion, but I thought to be honest, in majority of the game he was okay, but a couple of times Joe Hart, some of the stuff he done was just mind-boggling, to be honest.
I know. I could actually come. for such an experienced keeper, like, I mean, I was just looking at him today. I was going, my God, like, what are you doing, man? Do you know what I mean? I thought
You-
got this
you-
for system terms. Do you know what I mean? You know?
I know, but there's a time to pass and there's a time to clear.
Mhm.
And you're at the telly and you're going, okay, pass it there. Pass it. Pass it. And he's screaming at the telly, kick the thing. Kick it. Get rid of it. Like, Morelos runs 10 yards away, like.
Mhm. Mhm.
And he, you know, and like, he got blessed. And another day that ball just loops over and it's into the back of the net. You know, like if the man isn't on for the pass, no one's. I'd rather take the blame from the manager screaming at me that I played it down the line. And if the manager shouts at you for that, then I think it's more the fact that there's no one opened, rather than him waiting and the ball deflecting over your head and going into the net. Thankfully, it didn't. But on another day, it could happen very easily.
Mm-hmm. Just going to Alex's point there, guys. We need to look at the illness, and I think that's one of the big things here, Mark, is that Celtic team was rid with illness. Ange didn't moan about it. He put out the best starting level we could get, and they couldn't beat us.
I think that's the way you've got to look at it, Paul. After all this has come out about illness, he's been through the camp, and that's as we said there about likes of Forest starting and stuff like that. It's maybe just been a bit of a mishmash of who was actually available and fit to play, fully fit to play. But as I said earlier, Paul, we went in there, we're no worse off. If anything, we're a bit better off because that's a visit to their piggery we don't need to go to again, and we're still 9 points clear. So get in there, get something and get out of Dodge.
Well, I was always, Mark, I was expecting this type of performance anyway from the other club, as I call them, for a while. Because new manager coming in, Mark, they're there to prove a point. You know, he's constantly saying it's only 3 points because we have to play him. Like, when I heard that, it's realistically it's only 3 points because we still have to play him three times.
Aye.
You know what I mean? And I'm looking at that shit like going, what in the name, what planet are you on by? You know what I mean? That mole there must be going right into your brain or something. Jesus Christ, man. I swear to God, right? It's no one, but like, that mole definitely got bigger during that game. It did. It got so big, Sky Sports were interviewing it at the end of the match. I swear to God, man. You know, but like, I was expecting that performance from them today, Mark. And if this is their best performance, Mark, and they can't beat a below par Celtic team, I'm looking forward to bringing them to Celtic Park in the next derby.
The next one, at Celtic Park, we should put them back in their place, no bother.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Again,
you know, but for me, Mark, we did put them back in their place because, like, they had a chance to beat us today, 2-1. Do you know what I mean? We the Celtic. Everyone can agree that's been, I think, one of the worst performances I saw under Ange this season. Actually, I think it was bar that St. Mirren game. Do you know what I mean? And that's down to as well, Mark. That St. Mirren game was we had a bit below par performance, well, because we brought in players that would normally wouldn't be our starting 11. Do you get me?
Aye.
You know, and they couldn't beat, Mark, really a Celtic team that wasn't on form. And if you get the Celtic Park behind us and that, you know, it's just ridiculous. I still think as well it's ridiculous there's only 700 Celtic fans inside that stadium today. I thought it's an absolute disgrace.
They've cut it again, haven't they?
Yeah, it was 1,000, wasn't it? And then
I think it was about 800.
800. Do you know what, Mark? I nearly go to Celtic Park now if I was Nicholas. I think, lads, we're just not going to have you. You know,
I don't think they can do that.
But
they need to give them a certain amount.
Brazil do that though, didn't they? On grounds of fan safety.
They did it for COVID, Paul. They did it because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Rangers did it because of COVID. But look,
you'd probably need the police in that to get involved in that for Celtic to come out and say they weren't letting any of them in at all.
Yeah,
there is rules that you need to give.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. One of those 2 teams over in Brazil, Mark, that are freaking, is it Grêmio is one of them, isn't it? And São Paulo, I think, is it? They don't let no Ray fans in between that derby because there's so much.
That's because they're headbangers.
Yeah, you know.
That's slightly different. In South America, there are a bunch of nut jobs, to be fair to them. Like, you know what I mean? As bad as Glasgow is, it's not as bad as that. Like, but the problem is, Paul. The problem is they will have to leave in the 700 or 800, whatever it is. But look, I've made my point clear on this. I think it's farcical. I know lads have said they'd rather it just be all Celtic and all Rangers and leave it at that. That's fine. I always think it takes. I think it takes from the atmosphere.
Oh, without doubt, like this game, there's on Sky Sports. There's probably being televised in other countries, and you're just seeing your local rival there stuck up in a small little corner. Do you know what I mean?
Like, what would have been like today if there was the mandatory 8,000 Celtic fans behind the goals when Kyogo scores in the last minute? It'd have been magic to watch it.
Does it play, Mark? Though, do you think like their whole thing was, Mark, they were sick of Celtic fans celebrating in there? We know for a fact it was that. But did that atmosphere today affect the Celtic team, do you think?
I don't think so, really, Paul. I think I'd like to think that once players get onto the park, to kind of switch off to that. Once the kind of first whistle goes, you know what I mean? Obviously, at the start, the atmosphere's bouncing and you're kind of taking it in.
But come out like that and say that, Mark. Once the whistle goes, you kind of don't really kind of the fans what kind of goes on around.
I mean, if you're running to get the ball, you'll hear the odd shout at you and stuff like that. But a professional player should be able to block that stuff out, Paul.
Unless now you're Morales and he'll have a fucking taser bag open in the stadium and running off to the sideline.
It's just size him the day, man.
Jesus, my God, Mark. Why would a team come in for him? Why would a team come in and
see Taylor when he got the dot?
Aye, I know, that's a belter, isn't it?
Cracking.
Fat boy.
Yeah.
See the picture of him when he's got his socks kind of pulled up to his thighs like a big fat bird with sussies on. You know what I mean? The big fat, his socks were that tight and the fat was hanging out the top of the sock and all that, man. The belly was hanging out the top of his shorts and everything, man. What a state for a professional football player to be in.
But that'll tell you though, Mark, that your man, their manager, he had, and I said this to there recently, that he has to go back to the old guard. He has to go back to the Ryan Jacks, the Glenn Kamaras, the Davises, the Artfields, the Morellas, because he doesn't have anyone else. And I could be proved wrong, but I don't think they have the money to get these guys in that they require.
No,
that's what I was going to say to you. I was just going to come up in that there, Terence, there, Mark, 2 seconds, because if we win the league, when we win the league, sorry, rephrase that, because I'm not expecting us to lose 9 points, but when we win the league, right, you look at the players that they have leaving. You have McGregor, you have, is it Davis, who else is there, Mark, that's in around that team?
Well, Morellas is out of contract. Kent is out of contract.
Ryan Jack.
Jack is out of contract, yeah. I mean, I heard today that they were looking at some fella from Wolves, and Wolves quoted them 3 million, and basically it's looking like they don't have it. Do you know what I mean? They don't have 3 million to give Wolves.
Even Broncos came out and said that the other week before he got sacked. They came out and said that people think there are all these millions sitting in the bank, and there's no. So I mean, that's it. When I was speaking to Mikey earlier on the day, and I said that we were talking about Morelos and that. The ideal time to sell Morelos was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But there ain't stubbornness and stupidness. I mean,
arrogance, Mark. Arrogance.
Aye. I mean, they were quoting teams. They were telling teams they wanted £25 million for him and stuff like that.
They were quoting their side was worth 200 million.
That was their problem, Mark. They couldn't take it. That Celtic got 20 million for Kieran Tierney that time.
I think like what we got for Edward and Belly and things like that, and they seem to be kind of basing it on this, and it's just a nonsense. I mean, there's a team here in France. I can't remember, was it Toulouse? Maybe Toulouse. They were interested in him, but there was a couple of teams here in Turkey that were really interested in him, and that was the kind of prices they were saying. Oh well, we want like the 20 to 25 million pound bracket. And the Turkish teams are like, no, that's
the only Turkey that we got for him now being the local chip over the breast of chicken.
The kebab delivery.
Exactly.
But they could, honestly, Paul, they could see 2 or 3 years ago, they could probably have got between 10 and 15 million pounds for Morelos. They could have.
Well, not even just that, like not even over his condition, like the size of him, like. But as a manager, I wouldn't like to work with him because of his attitude. You can't trust him. Do you know what I mean? He'd get sent off in a game.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? And I think that's why a lot of bids didn't come in, Mark. I think a lot of teams actually looked, because they look at all this stuff, like your disciplinary records, your freaking thing. I'd say a lot of teams won't be coming in for him at all. You know?
But you look, Paul, I keep going it. Gerrard left him with the Villa. It's not a top, with the greatest respect to Villa fan.
Yeah.
It's not a top tier, one of the better sides in England. He still didn't take Morelos down with him, like.
Exactly.
He didn't even look to take Morelos. He didn't even look to take any Rangers players.
No.
From what I gather.
Did Beale take any to QPR?
No. Not to my knowledge.
That's his players that he gets on well with. I mean, I know for a fact there's a few players at Rangers that aren't happy at Beale's back because they didn't like him when he was there the first time.
Jesus.
Aye. There was a few players at Rangers that weren't quite in his kind of character and that. They just really didn't go on with him. And there's a few of them weren't that happy when they actually got the job.
Yeah, I think he's the type of person, Mark, that likes the sound of his own voice. You know? That he's kind of happy to be the main man now, kind of a thing, I say, is he?
Aye, for now anyway.
Kind of got to his head, you know?
I mean, see, let's face it. See, honestly, see if Celtic had appointed somebody like that, we'd have been raging.
Well, Mark, that's like us appointed John Kennedy, and we'd have been raging if John Kennedy would have got
Aye, that is exactly what the kind of thing is. If I've appointed somebody as an assistant,
you're a good manager. Like, I mean, sure, look at Mike Phelan there and Brian Kidd. Like, after they left Manchester United, they thought that they were going to be the next big manager because they worked with Alex Ferguson, and they flopped massively. You know.
Who's that Michael's talking about?
Oh, Balogun, remember him? Yes, he did actually, the QPR on the free. He did.
See, I didn't even know. I don't even know who that was.
He's a defender. One of their defenders, I think.
I was sitting saying, and I said the day, I was like, see if I passed half of that team and down like in the street, I wouldn't recognise them.
Most of them being Zimmer friends.
You recognise Lars as well, because you would have to get out to step off to the side of us.
Obviously, if you would buy Morelos or that, but half of the rest of them, but I couldn't have told you. See, when I was sitting watching the game, I couldn't have told you the names of who was actually on the ball half the time.
No, I didn't either. Really didn't, Mark. I really didn't. You know, but this like it's a big blow to them today, Mark, that they couldn't close the gap. Like, they were so close, like, and we've done it. We've done it so many times under Ange, late goals. Like, that's one thing you say about Celtic, Mark, is that they we're more inclined to get a goal if
we never stop.
Yeah,
basically the game lasts for the first whistle to the final whistle.
Mm-hmm. You know, and it was like I thought Kyogo. Actually, do you think Kyogo is more of a threat when he doesn't overthink the ball and just hits it? You know.
Oh, I'm still. It's hard. I'm not wanting to slag Kyogo off, Paul, but I still don't think he's a striker. I still don't think he should be Celtic's main striker. I really don't.
There's talks today now again that this so Green fella's agent has come out and said they're talking to a team in Europe and they're not from Turkey. You know, so supposedly it's actually supposed to be Celtic, and this fella is an out-and-out number 9.
He'll be Giacomakis' replacement probably then, isn't it?
I think so, Mark. Yeah, I think.
But do you think
Kyogo he's scoring goals? Nobody's disputing that. He's a wee low kind of thing. He's scoring goals, but he should be scoring more. That's my thing.
The thing, Mark, what Terence was saying there when he came on the podcast, like, look at the balls Maeda was putting in there today. Any striker would have been in there on top of them. Is that what Kyogo's lacking as an out-and-out striker? He's not anticipating where the wingers are going to put the ball in the box. Is that what he lacks?
Kind of predatory kind of instinct to know where the ball's going to be. there's just something. But I mean, Paul, I've said that to you from the very first time I watched him.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think. I mean, he's a cracking player. I'm not disputing the fact, but for me, he's just your kind of out and out striker. No way.
Mm-hmm.
You think there's a goal there if Giacomakis plays today?
I mean, Bobby's saying it. I know. That's what I mean. He's a top goal scorer with 15 goals, 4 in other competitions. But how many should he have, Bobby? That's what I mean. How many sitters has he missed? He should probably. He should be. You're saying he's 50. What's that? 19 goals in all competitions. He should probably be near 30.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? That's what I'm saying, Bobby. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I just don't think he's
a
good striker.
Take him to the next level, Mark, is that instinct where top strikers know where the ball is going to go.
Aye.
You know, like you look at, for me, one of the best strikers, Mark, of all time that I watched anyway, who had that was Ruud van Nistelrooy for Manchester United, who knew where the ball was and he knew he was going to be there. Do you know what I mean? I think with the ball we're putting in, we need that type of striker.
Okay, guys, even get back to your strikers, Paul, like Chris Sutton, John Hartson, Gary Hooper, Lee Griffiths. How many goals would Lee Griffiths have scored in this Celtic team?
50.
I mean, the amount of chances and for that kind of sniffing out the half chances like Griffiths.
Imagine Hooper, Mark. Imagine Gary Hooper. Do you know what I mean? Imagine Gary Hooper in his prime with Celtic.
Aye.
You know, he lived off chances like this, Mark, didn't he? You know,
but you would guys, Paul, through the years that you would have watched in, say, for argument's sake, come back to a little bit of the English football. Mark Hughes, Gary Lineker. Lineker was one of the best you'd ever see at that ball across the edge of the box to finishing. Mark Hughes was the same. Like, I think in one or two of those crosses today, if that was Giacomakis, he's unbelievable at the 6-yard box.
Yeah.
He seems to have that instinct because, as we've said before, most of his finishes are one touches. So he doesn't have a tendency to take.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, no, the only thing I would say with Kyogo is, I know he won't do it anyway, but would Kyogo be better with a second striker? And like, it's no coincidence that Giacomakis was on today and he actually played the ball to Kyogo to finish.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, but is Kyogo that type of striker that Terence has said there, Mark, like that? He'd live off someone that holds up the ball for him, and Kyogo would create the space to get that pass. Do you know what I mean? That's the type of striker that I actually see Kyogo playing with someone rather than a lone striker. You know,
I'd agree with that. There, Alex said big Crouchy, big Peter Crouch, Crouchy done all right, but didn't he? But
he did.
He really did. When you look back, see when you look at his stats in that, and then he married that wee Abby Clancy, which was all right, I know.
Listen, he played for Liverpool for a good few seasons. To be fair to him, so he couldn't have been too much wrong.
So did Andy Carroll.
Didn't he? He didn't have many English caps then, though, so he didn't, Peter Crouch.
What, get England caps?
Yeah, he didn't have many, I don't think, did he?
I don't know. He had some, I know. I can picture him in an England.
He would have been another great striker, actually, back only for injuries, was Andy Carroll. You know?
Is this the hair thing again?
Is he with Reading?
It's the hair. It must be the hair.
It's a ponytail thing again. It's a ponytail thing again, isn't it?
Is
the
he?
Man bun.
Yeah.
Andy Carroll. Is he with Reading? No, indeed with Reading.
He's not still playing, is he?
He is, yeah. He's in the first division.
But he's still got a man bun, people.
He does, yeah.
You got a picture. You've got a poster of him on your wall, haven't you?
You know, is he gone? Do you think, though, Giacomakis? Do you think that's nearly? Or have you heard anything, Mark, over there that myself and Terence haven't heard, or what?
I think he's for the off, Paul. Whether it's this month or the summer, I think it'll come down to whether his agent can get the move set up this month. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him go this month. I really wouldn't. I thought it would have waited to the summer. Do you know what I mean? Seemed to all came out that he wasn't happy about stuff and that, but seems to be the changing the agent thing. That's a kind of red flag. That's a kind of red flag when it comes to that.
The player.
These are date when they're young, Paul, and hitting the big time so that they can maximise their sponsorships and stuff like that, or when they're pushing for a move and their agent they're working with maybe not get the kind of contact levels. to get the kind of money they're wanting.
Well, the biggest thing is if that Celtic have to learn from all the previous guys is if the guys are unhappy, they want to move. Give me your blessing and move, man.
I think Ange is, do you know what? Looking at it now, I think maybe Ange has said that. Do you know what I mean? That if you want to move, you're not going to be kind of in my starting 11. Do you think maybe that's what Ange has been doing, Mark?
Sorry, Paul, who are you talking about now? I'm looking up this Andy Carroll, man. Paul, that's some hairdo, mate. Honestly. That's going to be your new avatar for next week's pod, an Andy Carroll picture.
He said, what I'm saying is Terence said, like, the Celtic have the law, no? Like, if a player wants away and stuff like that, like, just let him go.
I've said that for years, Paul. If players don't want to be here, let them go.
But you think maybe Ange is that reason? Do you think maybe that's the reason now Ange isn't kind of bringing them on in games early and stuff like that and not playing him?
Well, I don't think so, Paul, because he played Edward, didn't he? When he first came in, because he was just like
Ivanovic today.
As long as these players are here, they're in my plans, kind of thing, sir.
And he said he'd play on, didn't he? He said that.
Aye, I mean, there's no point to cut unless the guy basically turns around and says, "Nah, F you, I don't want to play for you again. I'm off this month or whatever. I'm not want to play."
Then you don't want to see performance then either, Mark. Like for then today, do you know what I mean?
If players are just look, I'm moving on, but I'll give you 100% for as long as I'm here. You can't ask for anything more than that. But I agree with Terence. Players don't want to be here. Let them go. Thanks very much. Cheerio.
Exactly. Because we certainly didn't get 100% from Juranovic today.
No.
You know, that's what we did. Of course, Celtic are back next Saturday at home to Kilmarnock. Do we expect players recovered? No, Mark. Like I expect now, like if Abada, Yata, or if they were affected by this virus and stuff like that, like I respect them if they're on the bench today. Surely know that they're fit enough to start the Kilmarnock game, Mark.
Aye, surely.
You know,
I'm expecting this to be like a fully kind of fit squad to choose for, Paul. Apart from like long term injuries and that, would be knowing that. But I'm expecting this to be fully ready to go with everybody 100% fit.
What do we do though? Would you think he'll start with Barnaby in the left? Because, like, to be honest, the last couple of games he kind of came on there. He's done well in tackling, and he actually brings a lot of pace as well to the team, getting up and down that left hand side as well, Mark, when he comes on. You know?
I would go with if Taylor's not going to be fit, obviously, but I would go with Barnaby, no bother.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's not obviously it's going to be a hard game, kind of blah blah blah, but it's not a big derby game. It's at home and that. So the guy should be quite. I think he's taking a wee bit of time to settle in and acclimatise himself to the kind of Scottish game, but I don't think he's a bad player or that. So I think this could be an ideal game for him to get a good run at Barnaby.
You know what the mistake was there, Mark, with him at the time was when Ange threw him into that Hearts game, and that was a big game to throw him into that time. You know.
But you have to see those well, Paul. But you have to see, like, in fairness, he played really well up to that point, Paul. But you have to say, okay, let's test him in. You can't say to a guy like him, I'm only going to play at home to Kilmarnock and I'm going to play Dundee United, but if we play away to Hearts or we play away to Rangers or we play away to, for argument's sake, Aberdeen, I'm not going to play you. He needs to be able to perform if it's Hearts away, Rangers away, or Dundee United at home or Dundee at home. It doesn't matter.
We saw that.
He still needs to be able to
Terence with Johnson in the back line, didn't we? Do you know what I mean? That he was able to handle the
pressure. And once that lad, that Burnaby lad, is able to learn and take in what happened from the last time and get better, then happy days. Because for me, if he's going to be at the club and Juranovic doesn't want to be at the club, he has to start left back because Taylor's going to be out for a few weeks. If it's a hamstring, he's probably going to be out for 2 or 3 weeks at least, if not more. So if he's your left back, then he has to start left back. For me, you know what I mean. There's no point starting Juranovic there if Juranovic is wants out the door.
I mean, but he's just barely but he's about 21 or 22 as well. So he's not real. He's not a kid.
No.
No, I mean,
But you can't cast them aside because, as I said, they have one bad game against Hearts. If that was the case, half the team would be gone.
No.
You know, because I thought the last couple of times, I saw him but he can actually pull in a decent cross as well when he's down the west. He can pull in a decent cross as well. Like I'm totally agree with you. For me, he's our second left back in the club. I mean, why are you going to play Jovanovic there, who wants out? What Terence was saying, Mark, instead of him.
Aye, no, I totally agree with that as well. I'd have brought up Bernabeu on the day.
Yeah,
Even Paul, if taking that aside, on Juranovic's performance alone today, he doesn't deserve to start the next game, regardless of whether he was going or not. He had an absolute shocker, like.
Mm-hmm. Because before you came on, Terence, we were talking about it, and I was saying, like, he's been playing in the World Cup, like he's match fit. Do you know what I mean? He's not as if he was injured for a month. Do you know what I mean? He was playing games, so he's actually the one person you could say in the team who's actually physically match fit at the moment. Do you know what I mean? You know?
Oh yeah, look, he's very match fit. Listen, Paul, there's zero excuse. He just had a rotter. He had a stinker. That's pretty much it. There's no other if buts and ends about it. He had a really poor game today. And that's all it comes down to.
Did you hear there today that Seagrass is out injured?
Didn't hear. Well, it's all good. Bain was in the bench.
Yeah, Bain was.
I never even noticed that, Paul.
Yeah, Seagrass is out injured, but I think it's a problem with either his elbow or his wrist, and he could be out for a while with it. So if we pick up an injury to heart, he could be in big trouble with Bain. You know, it's a tie.
Well, then they either sign another keeper, or I'm not even going to mention his name, your love child, or they bring him into the squad.
Well, he be in the squad already. But I don't know, Terence, like, throwing a 19, I won't be comfortable throwing a young lad in 19 years of age in there yet. Like, you know, like I've said that all along, it's too early for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, then they need to sign another keeper.
You know, because like Bain could be another one. Like I don't know. Now with this Seagrass injury, it's a tie injury. Sorry, it's a tie injury he has. So, like, Bain's another keeper there who's
a tie injury. Is that like TIE fighters out of Star Wars?
Yeah, a tie injury. Yeah,
injury. He put the knot in too tight.
It's a hair joke, Paul. It's a hair joke.
All right.
About scrunchy jokes.
Oh Christ! You know. But do we go looking for a new keeper? I don't. I stick with Hart for another year. I give Hart another year. You know, I think that's what.
I was only saying if your man's injury is long term, it's different. If it's a tie injury, I thought when it was an elbow it could take a while, but if it's a tie injury, he might be back in 2 or 3 weeks. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So how long would you be out there? About a week or two, I suppose, for this.
Depends on the severity of it, I suppose. But surely you'd expect Bain to be able to deputise for Hart, and if needs be, that young lad to be able to deputise if Bain got injured. That he could step in as to deputise for Hart. There's no point having the young lad on the bench, Paul, if he can't come in.
Oh, I have no problem with coming in, boy. I have no problem.
No, I know that, but that's all I'd say. Like, if your man's injury is only a short-term thing, then keep working what you have. Like,
he wouldn't be a number one now. Like, do you know what I mean? Jesus Christ, I'd be afraid if he was a number one. Who's Mrs. Ed 007?
What do you mean? Who is that? That's me. That's my wife.
She coming on the live channel. I thought that was.
Aye.
I thought. You know. And there you then calling her grunt bags in the live chat. Then she's in there. Jesus Christ.
God, what's that in her face? I heard that rumour we were in for the Australian goalkeeper. Seemingly can't get it. Coat, mate. Is that no that Ryan, Matty Ryan or something like that?
Yeah. There I don't.
It must have been for him.
I don't know, because there was rumours at the time, Mark, we were after him. When Ange came in, he never did go in for him, like, you know what I mean? You know?
All right, is that him? Right, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
now.
the Australian guy, yeah. Do you know what I mean? I don't think I think that's a position that Celtic aren't even thinking of at the moment. Mark is the goalkeeper, and I say, how many years can we get out of Hart? About another 2 years. I said they're not even thinking about that at the moment. You know.
At least another one, Paul.
Yeah. Well, that's what I would think, Mark. But
next this summer coming, probably next summer coming will be. I think we should be looking at either another keeper. Or,
you know, but do you think Seagrass can step up? Would you be comfortable with Seagrass being Celtic number one, or do you think
100%
number one?
Would you care, even get into Champions League in that?
Yes. Seagrass.
I don't know about that.
I do. I'd be happy with him.
You know, because we really kind of another player like we kind of haven't kind of seen. I think we've a cup game coming up soon enough, Mark. Do we in the next couple of weeks? Do we have a cup game coming up?
We're playing Kilmarnock for the league poll, and then we're playing Kilmarnock in the cup. The next game, isn't it?
The next
semi-final.
Aye.
I'm expecting Seagrass to maybe if he's fit to start that game. Do you know what though? Do you know what'd be very interesting, Mark, right? And Terence, if Seagrass isn't fit to play, and like we've seen now through this cup run that he plays Seagrass in the cup run, but if Seagrass is injured and he starts Joe Hart, for me, Bain should be thinking of leaving the club because we saw that last news as well that he didn't start Bain any cup game last season. You know?
I think Bain should have been looking to leave the club anyway, Paul.
Definitely, yeah. You know?
He's obviously happy with the money, boys. He's not going to get it anywhere else. That's the thing.
Yeah, definitely. This has to be
We've spoken about that a few times on here. Do you know what I mean? And even Jonas said that he was up having talks with Dundee United in the summer and stuff like that. So it's all right to say he's happy with the money, but as I said, see when you get to that kind of age, see if you're a young player or an old player, you should be looking to get as much game time as you can fit into your career. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I agree, but he's obviously looking at the money side of it. That's what he's looking at. Do you know what I mean?
See, I kind of stuff like that. I don't think kind of that kind of thing's right. But obviously, I'm not in that situation. You don't know. Do you know what I mean? What you've got to take a $5,000 a week wage drop to go work somewhere else? Probably no. But and looking for the outside in, you should be. If you're a professional football player, you should be looking to be playing games. Do you know what I mean? Nobody should be happy to sit on the bench.
Well, his family life could be. I don't know anything about the guy, but his family life and everything else, and his missus and everything. They could be happy as anything in Glasgow or where they're living. And for argument's sake, he might say, "Look, if I'm moving, it could be to Aberdeen, or it could be to someone else." And it's obviously not even going to be probably half of what I'm on here. He might be just going, so what? I'm happy to run out the contract with Celtic and then I'll look and see where I go. Maybe back to Dundee or Dundee United or one of these teams back where he used to play. Again, I don't know, but he clearly must be something along those lines because he hasn't played very, very, very many games, if any at all, for Celtic. And he's clearly happy with the contract he's on.
Is the lads are talking about Joe Hart saving a penalty there. How many?
Sorry, Paul. Bain's contract runs to 2024.
So
that's what I'm saying. Do you know what I mean? So why
that's another 18 months to go in that.
Yeah.
So that's why he's happy, Mark. You know, I don't know what he's on. What would he be on? Would he be on? He's on a couple of thousand a week.
I think we looked up our phone. It was like about 7 or 8. Paul, wasn't it? Aye.
Yeah.
What would he get anywhere else? 3. Anywhere else in the Scottish team, in Scotland, would he get 3?
Aye, if you're lucky, aye.
So you know what I mean? That's $5,000 a week. It's 20,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, he'd be quite. He said you don't know himself and his missus. His missus could be quite. They could be quite content. Going, I'll take my $8,000 every week, and I'll do whatever Pasta Cogli wants me to do, and I'll be happy as Larry.
Just like you do for your $8,000 a week, too.
I wouldn't get out of bed for $8,000 a week.
See, when we were here, just see the new terms. I meant just sorry, terms. Me and Jack watched a thing the other day on, I can't even mind what it was, and it was a young lassie from Limerick, Amy Mulcahy, and she was in some kind of, Have you heard of the lassie?
She has this one. She's kind of got a kind of a bad illness, isn't it?
She had a boating accident thing. And she'd ended up in the hospital after this boating accident, blind, and they thought she wasn't going to make it and that. And they done it in this big DIY SOS thing on the telly, and they sorted all the house out for her and all that, man. I swear,
My brother done that.
Was your daughter at it? Aye.
No, my brother. My brother didn't. My brother was involved in one of them for something similar in Limerick, where he's a plasterer by profession, and the guy who does it looks for all obviously builders and stuff like that to come in and give their time. And the brother done it there one a couple of months ago.
It does that? Is it what's his name? The presenter.
Yeah, the guy who does the bank ad, Paul.
Yeah.
Me, Jack, the two of us were sitting with tears streaming down our faces watching this other night, so we were.
Yeah, my brother done it a couple of months ago for something similar like that. He went in and he did with all his buddies, and they all plastered the house. They do it for free, obviously, for the family when they go away, and then the family come back and they've all the house done up for them and all that. No, it's very good. It's very good now, to be fair.
Mm-hmm. Just I was saying there, the lads, they were talking about they want Joe Hart to save a penalty. How many penalties do you think Joe Hart has saved throughout his career?
3.
105.
Bollocks. Only 16. He's actually ranked one of the lowest in Premier League history. 16. Throughout his career. I think he's very bad at penalties, actually, Joe Hart. I think he's very bad.
To be fair, there was many keepers getting near that one today, though, Paul.
No, to be fair to him, that was a good penalty. Do you know? I hate to say it, man, but Tavernier can take a penalty, he really can. You know?
Yeah,
it's enough practice at them.
That's his 100 goal. There was this 100 career goal.
Yeah.
I can imagine how actually many of them are actually penalties for Rangers. You know? I really
See the thing about it with Tavernier, however as you pronounce it. Right, for a start, he's English. It's as if he was any good at all. Some team in England would have bought him to meet their homegrown quota.
Exactly, Mark. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just he's one of the worst defenders I've seen playing for either Celtic or them for years. He really is.
It's just because of his goals, Mark.
I mean, even they all go after nothing. Every time he's a bad game, they bring it up, all the stuff, all the mistakes he's had over the years. And every now and again, there's threads on their forums about, can he defend it? We need to get rid of him. He's no good and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how he scored 100 goals. I really don't. Well, obviously it's the penalties, but do you know what I mean? Even Alex saying as well, his brother's playing at a higher level than him.
I'm just about to say it, Mark. Yeah, his brother's playing at a high level and down to League One. Isn't this? I forget who his brother's playing with. Is it Middlesbrough? It's not Middlesbrough, I don't think.
No, it's in the Premier League, Paul. Was it Bournemouth? Is Bournemouth still in the Premier League?
Yes,
is it
yeah. James penalties Tavernier.
Don't get us wrong, it was a fine penalty, hot the day.
It was, Mark.
Still wasn't a penalty, though.
You know?
No, it still wasn't a penalty. Good shout, Terence, but he did hit it well. But
as I said, I had to come off the live chat today because someone was annoying me because they kept saying, yeah. He said, well, your opinion is wrong. And I was close to giving them an answer now what my opinion was. But I said, I'll hold my tongue now. And I said, I'll just watch the match.
Kev could argue. Kev argues with himself on Twitter and that terms, didn't he, Paul?
He's going to have to bite your tongue, as Kevin.
He likes an argument, does Kev, didn't he?
Well, I asked him about the second. I asked him, was that a penalty? I didn't hear anything back about the goal, someone.
But that was shocking, though, Terence. It was shocking like that. If you think of the penalties Celtic should have had since VAR came in, they're stonewall penalties. Do you know what I mean?
The one at Hearts, I still keep going on about that one against Hearts.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
But I said this to you before. I said this to you a couple of weeks ago that I was really worried about the game because of this. I was really worried. I said that they were going to get a penalty. I thought Celtic would get a man sent off, but as I said, there was no bad tackles, and I said VAR was going to have a massive part to play. And I know that sounds an obvious thing to say, but I don't think it was a penalty, I don't think it was a penalty, and how they don't give Conor Golson's as a penalty and not even look at it, I will never know.
Like, we've seen it in the World Cup. We've seen it in the Premier League now as well, that VAR questions something in the match and gives the referee angles to go off to the screen, so the referee can make his decision. As Mark said early on the podcast, and he said it a few weeks back as well, it's VAR that's making decisions in Scotland. It's not like they don't know how to use VAR. Do you mean they're letting VAR ref the game instead of the referees refing the game? Like, it's like you've 5 referees now in the game: the linesman, the fourth official, the referee, and now you have 3 or 4 then the VAR thing. Do you know what I mean? You know, Willie Cullum shouldn't be making those decisions today, not telling Beaton to go over and look at the camera. Do you know? Shouldn't be making that decision. Simple fact is,
But
he should
you're
be.
100% right, Paul, because the problem is really what they should be saying in VAR is just saying, look, I think there's a potential handball here. You need to go look at the screen. You're the referee. You make the decision. Whether you go to the screen and look at it and go, no, I can't see any clear contact for handball there, play away. But whether it's right or wrong, fair enough.
I actually can't remember a referee actually going off to look at a monitor in Scotland there. Can you?
The only one I can remember is your man in the Hearts game for the Cameron Vickers penalty, which in fairness, he didn't give a penalty first of all, that Nick Walsh fella, but it was a penalty when you looked at it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember he went over and looked at the screen and he gave a penalty for that. I think they did one. Celtic got one against Livingston as well, a penalty against Livingston when they were 2 or 3-0 up at the time, and they missed it obviously, which is no surprise. But they're the only 2 I can remember that referees gone over and physically look at it. But that's not even the problem, Paul. The problem is the referee standing in the middle of the pitch for 3 or 4 minutes. Surely to God, if the VAR official is saying, look, we have a potential handball here or potential penalty, automatically he should be just walking over to the screen. What's the difference in him standing in the middle of the pitch and standing in the screen looking at it? What, like, he's the referee, like, he should be going over, having a look and going, okay, no, I don't think it's a penalty. Yeah, look, his hands are up in an unnatural position. He catches his hand, that's a penalty. But like, why is he waiting in the middle of the field? Like,
yeah, exactly, Terence. Like, I think we have a guest. I think Alex is coming on, is he?
I don't know. He's maybe got to try. But it's like you stand. It's like Terence. No, what I've noticed as well. They kind of stand there, holding the earpiece into their ear. It's like drama, showy, into it's like a kind of soap opera thing. Oh, I'll stand here. It's not as if you can hear any better. You can't hear any better holding the fucking thing in your ear.
It's like Kevin Costner. It's like Kevin Costner in Bodyguard or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Remember before we were saying,
do you think Whitney Houston would still be alive if Kevin Costner had been there?
We were saying like the referee wants to be the centre of attention. No, it looks like that. The VARs want to be centre of attention in the game. You know,
VAR's making the decisions.
Yeah.
And that's where it shouldn't be. That should be for the referee to get out there and look at stuff. The shout should be, here, you want to come here and look at this.
Do you know what'd be interesting now, Mark? Do you know what
it should be a case of, right, wait, the new VAR's looking at it, I'll wait and see what they're saying. It should be a case of, look, we've got something for you to look at, come here and look at it. And that should be all that's happening.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what'd be interesting now tomorrow, Mark, is, Tuesday, Sky Sports do the ref watch, and the fella Gallagher comes on, he does the ref watch. Interested to see what he says tomorrow about that.
I saw on Twitter, Paul, he said they weren't doing that. All right, Alec, how you doing, bud?
Sorry, mate, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you, aye.
Good. Right, mate, fine, thanks. Yeah, I can hear you guys okay. Hail, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Alec. What's happening with that gato you were bringing up for us?
What's that, mate?
What's happening with that gato you were bringing up for us?
You get fucking I get well scuttled.
So what did you think of the game of the day, bud?
Listen, I'm getting a lot of feedback, guys. The game of the day, I'm happy with the result. I can't.
Yeah, I think you can take it that way. Like, it's a poor performance by Celtic, but we're still in the best position that we were going in there. Do you know what I mean? We're still ninth.
We're not any worse.
Half the season, Alex. You know, so you know. There.
Well, Alex he's not got a clue here, has he?
No, I can hear you guys, but I'm getting every time I talk to you, I'm getting a feedback.
Have you got another window open, Alec? Like what you're listening, see like your YouTube window or that? See what you're watching. See what you're watching the stream on. What window you're watching the stream on? Shut that.
He's going out now and he's closing the sitting room window.
Aye.
Close that window. Close that window, then they can hear the.
We'll need to kind of get the kind of instructions for guys. It's you can see if you're listening on something, you can't come on live. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, it's like you'll be listening to the when I be driving there and you'll be listening to the Niall Boylan show there, like when people ring in and they're on their phone but the radio's still on in the car, you hear the echo, like that's it. You know what I mean? You know?
Well, normally you just have to, if I'm coming on, if I am listening to it on YouTube and I click on the link, then obviously the YouTube page is gone, so it's only on the link. But
yeah, exactly, Terence,
you can say to the lads as well, you don't need headphones. I'm just talking as if I'm having a normal conversation on the phone. So the last time when it was there was a lot of crackling back, I had headphones on one of the last times I was on. So I just got rid of the headphones and I'm just talking normal.
Tonight, just the mic there now, Terence, and
I'm the same. I think if you're using earbuds or earphones or that, you can and cancel. What is it? Echo cancellation. See if you click on where your wee avatars is at the bottom, the 3 wee dots. If you click on that and into mic settings, if you click on echo cancellation, that sorts that out. If you're using earphones, I'm sure.
All right.
It's above my station now.
No, we won't try that now because we blocked the stream. He's back, is he, Al? You back?
Right, Al's back. You there, Al?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Aye, we can hear you, bud.
That's much better now. You know?
Is that better for you?
I'm trying to listen to Paul. It's hard to listen when Paul's yapping.
Yeah.
See the window you're listening. See the actual stream you're listening to his own, Alec.
Aye.
Like your YouTube window or whatever it is. Shut that.
Shut the YouTube window.
Aye.
Right. Okay. How's that?
Is that working better there?
Aye. That's a lot better.
Aye. See, that's what you need to do. You need to shut down the window you're listening to. It just starts this kind of crazy echo and stuff.
You can tell, Paul, I wasn't my window was shut, my patio doors.
Patio doors. We've got a snob here. He's got patio doors.
Paul, Mark, come on. That's the English hall, you know better than that.
I suppose, just what you were saying, like it's to look back and we're still 9 points clear after a poor performance. Like, I mean, their best team couldn't beat a below par Celtic today.
I think it's a fantastic result today, honestly. 2-1 down, 4 minutes to go. You know, Seaman Cole would put that goal in. That was a £40 million goal.
Mm-hmm.
Because that shut them up.
Exactly.
They've gone nowhere. They've got no money. They're skint. They're fucking rank rotten.
Mm-hmm.
So,
exactly, Mark. I mean, if you just like what he's saying there, like, you know, the 88 minutes, like, to concede a late goal again against Celtic, right? That's a killer for them. Like,
they'll be gutted with that tonight. They'll be gutted about that.
You know,
I mean, we'd have been gutted if it'd been the shoe or the other fitting at a time at Celtic Park. We'd have been gutted tonight.
Because there's a big
Did you hear any
difference
fireworks
between
this
6
afternoon,
points and 9 points. You know.
Well, Alec.
Did you hear any fireworks this afternoon?
No, did you?
No, exactly. But trust me, see if that had finished 2-1, it'd been like fucking Beirut round about here.
Aye, definitely.
Yeah, see, that's it. Like, if the lead was cut today to 6 points, that's a big advantage to them going into 2 derbies then as well, Mark. Do you know what I mean? But no, it's
not just that. It's psychological as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see psychologically. We'll have come out of that better than they will today. because they had a victory in their hands and it gets snatched away from them. Whereas we snatched a point for the jaws of defeat, if you want to look at it like that. We've come out.
That's 40 million quid for them.
Aye. And that's kind of that is one of the kind of main things as well. I mean, it's imperative that we get that Champions League spot this year.
Yeah.
You know, they can hear Alex. When I click the link, I can hear Alex, but not in the stream. I don't know what that is, Mark.
Listen, guys, if I'm interrupting your stream. I'm going to come
You're
back.
no, don't be daft, fuck, man.
No, if nobody else can hear it, it's pointless.
That's just jabbers.
Yeah.
Jabba's probably listening to last week's stream.
Anyway, James, it's lovely
Yeah.
to nice to speak to you once and for all.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, it's good to come on, right?
I said to Mark last night, guys, I don't listen to you guys live. I always listen to you later on at night when I'm working, and you just give me some great entertainment in the middle of the night. It's great, fantastic.
Oh, thanks very much, Alex.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, Alex, bud.
I'm surprised you can listen to them. I'm surprised you can listen to shite for 2 hours as long as that. But fair play, Joe.
See, if you've seen the shit I was doing for 2 hours,
Eating your gator cake, that's what you are. You were doing the shite for 2 hours, all right. That's what you are after eating all that. Jesus Christ.
It's a fantastic site you've got. Fantastic service.
Thanks very much, Alex, man.
Cheers for that. Cheers.
Like,
I say,
pledges appreciate it.
You crop bastard. You're still not getting a bit of gato.
I'll be sending Jack down at your door shortly in a taxi.
Yeah. And I'll have a fucking shotgun waiting on you.
Jesus Christ, it really is like fucking bear root over there.
No, I need to put the fucking back in the box and stick it in the face of the bush and it work.
So the wife doesn't know you've ate half yet?
Yeah.
So the wife doesn't know you've ate half yet?
Aye, I need to clean my face up and all.
Jesus Christ. Do I wipe the chocolate off the face?
Listen,
Listen,
guys, it's my birthday tomorrow, so she'll let me off it.
Cheers for coming on, Alex. Bye.
It's your birthday, Alex.
Appreciate
it.
Is it? Happy birthday, bud. Is that your
Happy 21st.
40 tomorrow.
40, aye, and the rest. I've seen you, mind.
Enjoy, buddy.
My true 60s.
Enjoy the birthday.
40 plus VAT.
40 plus, that's it, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Feel as old as you. I don't really feel as old as you look. Anyway.
Aye, you look about 80. You look older than Mikey. Mikey. Mikey's the oldest guy I've ever seen.
That's because of Santa Claus, isn't he?
How many cans did you get tonight, Alex? Here, Jabber want to know. Jabber, I don't know how you can't go on, bud.
I don't do cans, Jabber. No cans. Bottles.
Is Jabber coming on?
He's trying to come on. Just here, by the way, just in case nobody knows, Alex Alex, the guy that gave us an Amazon voucher that we raffled off in that. Stayed just 10 minutes down the road for us. That's who Alex is.
Okay, cool.
Off of Discord and that, Paul.
I've got different names because of certain different sites I use, so I keep the same names for every different site.
So the social can't track him.
The social, I'm working Rangers. The tax man left for me.
The tax man.
We heard you had a podcast there, and you said you're not working.
You know, is that a
fucking packy?
Can't say that.
I say we let it there, lads. I say we let it.
Okay, I'm forgetting. Yeah. I'm sorry.
That's all,
I apologize for
that. Thanks to Alex for joining us there tonight. Thanks to Terence as always, man, coming on the podcast. It's nice to hear as well from Alex that people enjoy listening to myself, Mark, and Terence on a daily basis.
But don't come back.
you'll get Paul started now. No, it's not in stuff like that, I'm afraid. Not in stuff like that. Mark, we close the show.
Right. Again, Paul, thanks very much for everything you do. And that Terence, brilliant as always when you come on. Everybody behind the scenes, Terence says it's always good when you come on because you're just that kind of straight and open about stuff. There, Alex popped his cherry. Brilliant, mate. You're welcome on any time, Alex, when you're just sitting about. You know that. Jabber, you're a big shite in the bucket, mate. I don't believe you're just. You need to give yourself a shake here, son. I'll come on, and then you never bother your arse. You're breaking my heart here, Jabber, man. You're breaking my heart. But anyway, thanks very much to everybody that listened in. I hope you enjoyed it. Everybody subscribed. If you have not, please do. Hit the like button. If you know how, even leave us a comment and help share it about. There's private chats opening now, man. I don't know. Oh, there's Jabber there. Wait the now.
I've got him.
Are you there?
Hey!
We can hear you now.
My boy! Boys, away again.
He's away again.
You don't even know what he's doing, boy.
Oh, he does. He's fucking pissed.
See, we need to see. Right, 2 minutes. We'll see if we can get Jabber on to see what shit he's got to talk. Since it's New Year.
Anyway, guys, you got a nice Christmas
The
New Year.
wife came in. Mark, the wife came in and fucking mangled him for making a fool of him.
Come on, cracked him out of the heat.
Don't you get off the phone, you stupid idiot. What happened?
You coming on, Jabber, or no? If we've got an old age pensioner on the panel, Jabber, if he can do this, you can do it.
Why you? Stop talking with Paul like that. I'm sorry.
Hello.
There you go.
Hello. What's happening, lads?
All right, bud.
Yeah, yourself?
Aye, good, man. Good. How are you?
Oh, all the better to speak to you, my man. What's happening here? What's happening? We got another hour left on this or what?
If you like talking,
fuck, I'm only going for 30 seconds to say bye. That's all I'm doing, boys.
Oh, you need to come up. What's your point, caller?
I've not really got a point, mate.
See, still just phone Radio Clyde, man.
I thought Radio Clyde, mate. I'm a big con anyway, mate. I've only got
we know that. We know that.
It's not a dear stage. Like, you know what I mean? Don't tell us your problem. Like, you want to know about Celtic, you know what I mean?
No, it's a fly visit. I'll get a point for next time, I promise, boys, right?
Right, well, now you know how it works.
He's got him up now. He's on his way there.
But let's listen, next time I'll get to see him out of Kansas. Alex is going to twos, I'll come on half cut, right? Half stewed.
Right. Don't you dare come on half cut.
Right, lads, have a good night.
Right, see you,
See you, boy.
Jabber. I'm going to finish off the show, so I'll see you later. Good night.
Right, speak to you later, Alex. Thanks for coming on, bud. Good
All the
night.
best, lads. See you
Thanks,
later.
Alex.
Good night.
Mark, off to you.
So just finish up then.
Yeah.
I don't even know where I was. Just if you can leave a comment, hit the subscribe button, and all the links to our forum or Discord and that, they're on the description box below. You're all more than welcome to come and join us on there. You get a good bit of laughing that. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, hail, hail, God bless.